Now it looks like a strong right. We got a 5. We got probably a shade. Got a 3 and a stand-up 5. Now this is kind of a different look. This looks like he's the nickelback linebacker, actual linebacker, A gap defender, B gap defender, C gap defender. Um, like he should be the A gap defender, but he's just not lined up over the gap. I'm not really quite sure how their responsibilities break down, but here we go. Working right to left. All right, so this play looks like kind of a zone sprint out. Um, from a technique perspective, there's really not a lot that I can personally evaluate, partially because I haven't really done one of these before. At least I was never a part of the scheme that did it, but partially because, I mean, there's not, like, they're really just kind of zone blocking in a pass pro way. I will say, as far as the up back getting involved, it is important that like the running backs do get involved in this, or like just running backs being able to block in general, because a lot of times they are the ones who pick up like the front side blitzes, especially if this guy came, or even if this guy came, like, and they both ended up coming, so him being there is very important. And the backside, and I mean he dropped, so it looks like whenever they stand up, usually this guy either drops or he just does something else. Um, there's nothing horribly impressive. Um, Richie Incognito does a smart thing here where he determines that this guy he's not coming into his gap, so he just tries to help out the center more. Right guard just tries to help out the right tackle. The right tackle just steps down. This guy's clearly coming to C gap. He kind of gets out of position, but the right guard's there. I mean, solid game on the play. Not too much to really critique. I mean, nothing really of substance, in my opinion. All right, same personnel. So we got a bootleg action. Solid gain. All right. So when we finally get lined up, you get effectively what looks like a 4-4 defense look. Now, it's not a 4-4. This is not actually 4-4, but in terms of personnel and where people's lined up, I mean, this safety is coming down, and this safety slash defensive back, who is a functional linebacker in this case, is here. You only have 2 linebackers here. You have kind of I would say a 7 or a loose 5, 3, more of a shade, and a 5. So this kind of looks like their overload situation. They might do a twist or some type of blitz out of this formation. At least that's what they've done so far. From a technique perspective, let's go right to left. Darren Waller, he tries to really sell the run, and that's what he's trying to do. Now, he could have argued, I mean, could he have done more to really try to seal this dude and throw him across his face? That kind of yes and no, because if he really, really did, that would have like made it obvious that it was a pass. So him trying to like cut him off does sell the run better, in my opinion. So I guess he just did a decent job there. Right tackle. So my biggest critique with this is that he did sell the run pretty well. I mean, if he was fighting, get leverage, he was kind of getting beat. But if anything, that's worked out, because if he maintained more leverage here, he would have never gotten beat. Or by the time he decided to change direction, his hips should have still been over here, and anything he would have made, it would have been wrong. So the new like pocket is effectively rolling this direction. All right. Right guard sells a run, goes full send, whiffs on the linebacker. Center, that's textbook, to be honest with you. If he was run blocking, like that'd have been a solid way to like cut him off. I mean, would have created a solid cutback lane, to be honest. And he eventually just sends him across his face as soon as he realizes it's pass, or as soon as he just gets to the point where he knows he's just gonna pass. His job perfect. Left guard, Now, just personal, I guess, way of looking at it. If I was in his shoes, I would have kind of been eyeing to try to like seal this dude, just because he was coming down on a blitz. I wouldn't have gone so far over, but I understand why he did what he did, because at the end of the day, you're more worried about this defensive lineman potentially messing the play up than a linebacker or safety just coming in on blitz, not really know what the hell he's doing anyway. Right tackle, if he was trying to get like leverage on the stretch play, actually would have been okay. And honestly, like it worked out perfect because he did sell the whole thing, and I mean it was all right. Keyword all right. Small technical things, but functionally same thing. Not really much to evaluate from a specific technique perspective, but they did do their job and they sold the run. Next play, looks like you got similar alignment, one high safety, similar personnel, or same personnel. All right. Nice run with a cutback lane and fumble. Ended up not mattering, but here we go. All right, let's talk about it. We get lined up. We got a tight end to the left. That is Garunke Foster Moreau. Fullback, I formation, I left. We have a 5-1-3-5, or 7, but more of a loose 5. Linebacker lined up with the A gap, lined up with the B gap, lined over. He's C gap, but he's just outside contained, is what it looks like. And the safety's over here. So logically, I would assume if this guy's walked over here, their responsibilities would be moving that way or something like that. Either way it goes, like it does set things up for a pretty nasty cutback if it's blocked correctly. So looking at right tackle, steps inside, washes down to 3. Okay, pretty solid. So this is stretch to the left, offensive left. Now, it would, depending on, no, this is a zone left. Yeah, this is a zone step. So the reason why I say it's a zone, his first step is back, his first step is back, his first step is back. Like they're not trying to gain ground on this play. It's just a zone left. All right. So zone left, he's relatively square to the line of scrimmage. Nobody's touching this backside defensive end here. Trying to set up the cutback. So since it's zone, you want to get more kind of head up. Like once you kind of get here, I would have personally preferred him to zone and try to work more vertical, because once you kind of determine that this person is in your zone, which B gap is his zone in this case, you really want to kind of get there and press vertical, or at the very least, like pick a side and just send him that direction. He does pick a side and he does try to send him that direction. I don't really like that, because to me it just seems a little uncontrolled. It seems more like he's pushing him than he is actually trying to like block him. And it works out because that opens up a sweet cutback lane that the running back took full advantage of. So good on him. Right guard. All right, so he flung his inside arm back, trying to open up his hips a little bit. So similar to a toss or stretch or anything where he's backside, you don't want to abandon the 3 technique, but at the same time, you do need to get to your zone. And I think that it's more important that you get to your zone, especially when you're when you're worried about a blitz or some type of stunt coming your way. So I think that I think that his second step is where I have a problem. Steps back, has good base, loses his base. And he loses his base and really doesn't gain anything. I mean, nobody's coming into his gap for real. And, I mean, I guess, okay, the front side 3 technique does end up coming into his gap. So there was and honestly, like, given that this safety was down here, you can determine logically that there was a slant coming, which is why zone actually works out well in this case, because a good way to at least neutralize a blitz or some type of slant is just zone step. That way you don't have to worry about somebody trying to go man. Like if the left guard had to block this three technique and then this dude slanted across the center's face, well, now he's got a problem and this dude's out of position. He's all discombobulated. But if he just steps and whoever shows up, then it works out great. That's why you take that step back, you lose a little bit of ground, and you lose a little bit of ground to gain a little ground. And sure, now personally, I would have, like I said, I would have liked to see him maybe not abandon so quickly, but I understand why he did it. And he was right in a good position for the frontside three who showed up in his gap. And I would have again preferred to see him really like get into him and just start pushing him vertically and creating a more of a cutback lane. It still works out, but he can stand to get into that a lot more than he did. All right, center zone step. I mean, that's a tough look because the dude slanted like the dude was. This dude's doing his own shit. Like, that's the truth. He's doing his own shit. All right, he lines up in the C gap. He goes one gap over. That's just good discipline. Lines up in the A gap, goes one gap over. Okay, my man lines up in the front side B gap. He goes not one but two. This man goes 1, 2, almost 2. Like, he ends up in the backside A gap, goes 2 full gaps over. Like, what the f are you doing? Like, the only time that this is appropriate for him is if there's somebody filling in this A gap. But instead, you have, like, you just don't know what the f you're doing. That's what it really looks like to me. Like, this dude looks like he's just trying to do his own shit. Path of least resistance. And when you're playing against defensive linemen who do things like that or think like that, those are the guys who get set up the most on screens, counters, jet sweeps and reverses and stuff like that, because they're the ones who get trapped because they're just trying to like just go for the path of least resistance. And on one end, it's kind of a gamble and it's a prediction that they make that when it pays off great, but when it doesn't, like, it really costs him. You know what I mean? Because if he was gap disciplined, because being gap disciplined is really, really important if you're trying to counter zone. Because the other way you counter zone is really with the linebackers is if he doesn't float so damn hard. But because he floats so damn hard, and he also shot 2 gaps away, I mean, he's just doing the most. And, like, he's just trying to follow the ball, which sounds like a good idea, except, oh, yeah, you're about to get ear-holed by a damn guard. And it's just dumb. All right, so that being said, the center zone steps. He sees the dude who's clearly in this gap that he's supposed to protect, and he misses him. And this is an understandable situation because if the dude's slanting that hard, like, what you should do is you step over, you're ready for contact, and he just keeps going. So as soon as you see him pass him, you need to like hunker down, get your base back, and just stay square because he's going to end up coming back to you. And at the very least, you can kind of hip check him, shoulder check him, push him into the guard, and push him vertical. That's what you really should do. That's good discipline. So that's what he should have done. I understand why he did what he did. I mean, it is what it is. All right, left guard. What the f was this? Jesus Christ. All right. Left guard gives up ground. He's trying to set this guy up, kind of do the same thing that they've done all throughout the game, where he's basically trying to send this dude back into the center. All right. And I get it. But if you're running zone, you're running full zone, like, you really can't think like that on this one. You can't think like an exchange of responsibilities. You need to have your damn base, get ground, keep your base, and worry about B gap because B gap defender was right there, was right goddamn there, and you let him go. That is bad. That is bad. Now we'll talk about Colton Miller in a second, but this is bad. He should not have been able to come that free. And I get it. You're worried about getting the linebacker, and being able to get the linebacker in this case was very critical. To be honest, if you had to pick a linebacker that you really wanted to get, it should have been 54. But it worked out great because the linebackers really, really bit hard, like super hard on this motion. Like they bit super hard, so when the cutback happened, they had no answer. But this isn't it, dude. You kind of fucked the tackle and you fucked the play. You just missed it. You're just it's a zone. Just run zone, man. Like I get why he was trying to do this. Just run zone. All right, Jesus Christ. All right, left tackle. Okay, so same concept. They both basically do the exact same thing. He's trying to get to his outside leverage, and um, he's trying to zone step, gives, except he steps more at him than he gives ground. All right. You see this dude coming off the edge. It's rational to assume that there's probably some type of slant coming. Okay. So if this five slants, you need to be primarily looking C gap. Okay. Within one step, you would know. Okay, nobody's coming C gap. So let me go ahead, get my base back, square up, so I can hip check this dude back in the guard. All right. He doesn't do that. He bends at the waist, not at the knee. His shoulders are down, his head is down, his hands are out. Like his base is gone. He's fucked up. Like this is unsatisfactory. Like what the hell are you doing? Stiff as a board, bent over. You fucking confused. All right. And then you got Foster Moreau being a grunky. Yep, doing his same gorillazo shit. Like what is this? Whose man's is this, bruh? Like, no, goddamn, me, me Foster, me make play, me block. That's what you look like, fucking caveman. All right, caveman Foster Moreau is gonna caveman himself out. Now, this is also, I don't, I'm curious if he's coached to do this or if he just doesn't know what the hell he's doing. My hunch is that he doesn't really know what the hell he's doing because the football savvy move would have been you zone out too, and whoever shows up, shows up. You can clearly see, plain as day, that there is a defender right here. So zone. You step, you look, he's in your zone. Block him. Block him. Alright, that would have made sense. But I can also see the rationalization, them two being on a different page than the offensive lineman. And I can also see the rationalization of, well, whoever is going to be the primary like front side run defender or front side force player, that's going to be the fullbacks guy. He's just going to kick him out. It would be more like a trap. And you're going to work up to the front side first linebacker play side. I can see the rationalization of these responsibilities playing out the way they are. And it does make a lot of sense. I can also see him just being stupid and not blocking this guy because he doesn't realize he's supposed to. Both make sense, but in this context, given that it's a zone, I think that it did work out overall better because at the end of the day, it's more important he just kicks him out. Because if he really was trying to maintain front side leverage strategically, like he would be blocking out, he'd just be leading up for this linebacker in this case, and it's kind of, I mean, it would work, but it wouldn't work all that great. So instead, I could see him stepping in, trying to just make sure get leverage and just force this dude and push him that way. All right, works out fine. So I'll go a little bit easier on the grunky caveman Foster Moreau. Caveman Foster. All right, cool. You're fit. Actually, bullshit aside, hands where they needed to be. Feet, maybe not. Pad level, maybe not. But you're working second level. I mean, that's functionally kind of what you would want. That's functionally what you would want to do if you're trying to block anybody. Same thing right here. Hands inside. Try to get your head down. Try to bend at the knee, not the hip. But he's on the run, trying to block a dude who's also on the run. You know, solid blocking by them too, and of course, decent run played out. All right, here we go. This looks like same personnel. Throws, gets rid of it. It's like tight end to the left, receivers here, running backs on the right. You have looks like a just regular nickel package. Looks like they got one of their faster guys playing it in. Linebacker still there. Nickel linebacker still there. All right, right tackle. Oh, and bum safety's walking up. All right, let's back up. You have a shade 3, 5, kind of a looser 5. So this is kind of that formation they tend to stunt out of. So it looks like they're doing like a RPO type thing. All right, so this is something that I don't really like about this play. It's kind of a goofy situation because he's so damn wide that honestly you shouldn't have run this play. Or if you were going to run it, you should have given it. Like, this isn't because what you're theoretically asking your right tackle to do is something that he physically cannot do. Like, you're asking him to sell the run or like block for a run initially, and the only person who can genuinely get a good piece of him is the pulling tight end. So it just doesn't really work out all that great. So right guard. All right, for RPO, like at least more of the pass side of it. I mean, solid block, just shuffle, throws him down. It'd be nice if, I mean, he actually had decent pad level for once. He got his hands inside. It'd be nice if you were more square, just had more, your hands more like back here. I mean, you don't want to block in the back, but you're down in the paint, so just maintain leverage. Center. All right, going full send. This is not advised. So what he does is he dives his head and then tries to push him. I get it because you're always coached get low, get low, get low, but you need to like actually like bend more at your knees and not your waist and head because that's a good way to get head injuries and neck injuries and whiplash and shit. That's shit doesn't feel good. All right, left guard. So for a pass block, that was nominally okay. It'd have been nice if like, because what he's trying to do is just keep him going this way, and instead of fighting more to keep his hips inside, like he knows that he's getting help. So I guess I don't know if that's laziness or just him doing the least. I think it'd have been a better move if he got his head over here first, but or at least down the middle. But here we are. Left tackle. All right, Jesus Lord, my man. This man came out kind of okay, and now he's just playing stiff as dude. What the is this, man? Like, the only reason why this aggravates me is only because there's no bend in his knees, and he's like just doing the absolute most. All right, and then he's standing straight the fuck up. Like, don't do that, man. You don't need to. Get under him. Fucking, he shouldn't be in your grill like that. Like, that's not a good position to be in. Why is your hand on the outside? Why is his hand up by your fucking ear? Why does he have inside leverage on you? Why the fuck shouldn't at least get some damn movement? If this is a run block, he'd be like, best case, like, it'd be an instant cut back here, and otherwise he'd be completely fucked if he tried going front side because of you. Jesus Lord. All right, tight end comes, tries to kick out. That's kind of hard. Actually, that's really hard because it's not like he can really get the seal on this dude. he kind of can't, and it's just not an ideal position to be in. So this play was a bit of a wash. I don't think it was a good play call, given the look. That's just my opinion. And I mean, it could have worked out way worse. Next play. Looks like we got same personnel, similar personnel. It'd be a play action or screen. Yep, screen, tight end screen. All right, cool. Let's see what we got. All right, safeties walk down, nickel linebacker, two backer set. You got a kind of a looser 5-3, more of a shade gap player, and a more of a looser 5. So definitely when these two come in, they kind of play looser. They're expecting usually more pass. That's what I've seen out of them. So from right to left, tight end pulls. He's a screen player. Excuse me, sorry. Right tackle. All right, he really tries to sell this run front side. I think that's a decent move. And the reason why I say this is decent because he could be way, way wildly aggressive and really trying to push him out in this play. That's not necessary. Because it's play action, like you really just want to get him to like back up, like get him to play this contained because this guy doesn't really appear to like to be down inside because that doesn't appear to be his game. So the only thing I would say is you want to have an inside leverage no matter what. But he got him to back off, so that worked out great. Right guard. All right, that's a solid block. So what you want to do in this case, in my opinion, number one is kind of turned in stance. I don't really like that. He kind of turns his hips and his body too soon, and he doesn't really get his head on the appropriate side, in my opinion. Still looping his hands to the outside. I mean, I guess it ends up working out. I would have rather your head be kind of down in here and just pushing him that way. But he is definitely getting beat up field. I mean, but he's not getting beat up field. Given that it's a play action, honestly, he's not really getting beat up field. He's just allowing the screen to like develop and really trying to draw this defensive lineman where he wants to go. So nominally a good block. Definitely can work on ordering variables because there's the three different variables: nominal, ordinal, and interval, and there's also ratio variables. In terms of ranking, this would be rankingly good. In terms of like actual like ratings, this is like not that great, but he is good, I guess. All right, next center. All right, so this is really this is how you're really supposed to block on any screen or any reverse. They do it with the center. I've seen more teams do it with the guards, but innovation, like circumstances breed innovation. So he snaps the ball. He does sell it for a moment enough to get the linebackers to kind of move. And he immediately tries to work to get leverage on this linebacker, and he keeps fighting for leverage and keeps fighting for leverage, and just keeps fighting. So I think that was a good move overall by Rodney Hudson. He definitely turned and tried to get flat. It'd been nice if we got more flat, but honestly, like staying square was probably the more appropriate move because if he turned this way, it wouldn't have given Darren Waller the appropriate like two-way go he needed to get more yards in this play. So I think that was actually a pretty smart block and pretty good block by the center. Left guard comes down. So I've seen it where he'll come around and he'll like turn and block here. Like I've seen done screens block a couple of different ways, but for all intents and purposes, this is probably as good as he was gonna do because he was really trying to just get this guy like out of the gap. Like if he'd hung out right here, he'd have had to fight him tooth and nail. But instead, he decided. But as soon as he realized, like, okay, He's down. He pushed him, knocked him off of his course, knocked him out of the A gap, and now he's like kind of messing with the other guard. That's exactly where you wanted to be. So all he's doing is just shadowing him, just making sure he doesn't really make the play. That's all you can do. All right, left tackle goes down, works immediately outside, looking stiff and slow as hell. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and say Rodney Hudson looks like he's all that fast, but at least he's fighting for leverage. He did. I think he could have sold the run a little bit more, or at least came off like a little bit with a little bit more burst and a little more vigor, because that would have maybe drawn this dude down inside a little bit longer. But he was still coming in like thinking it was like a no cap like stretch or run to the offense's right. So he was just playing like that. That's more power to him. Now, when you get out in space, he didn't really get a good piece of this dude, and he kind of gave up too quickly on the play. That's just being real. Like you should be working more for leverage on this guy, or at least trying to stay square. And it worked out, but I mean, Colton Miller could have done a lot better on that play. Next play. One high safety. Still looks like he got nickel personnel. Oh, they're doing something a little different. Change the front. All right. Only sending 4. Oh, shit. Nelson, not so occasional hands. Aguilar actually caught a pass. Holy fuck. Who would have thought all he needed to do was change his uniform to silver and black? All right. Got a tight end right. Defensive line adjusts. So now we have a loose 5, really more like a 9, because he's lined up outside of the tight end. You have your loose, I would call him more of a 9 in this case, just because of how he normally lines up anyway. You have a 3 technique lined up over more in the gap, and you have more of a shade, so it's kind of an off-balance look. He's lined up close, like he may or may not do something. Corner's leaning in a little bit much. No, this is a dime look. Yeah, 2. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. This is a dime, not nickel. All right, so tight end goes out for a route. Let's look at right tackle. All right, solid pass block. Blew it aside. So he knows he has to get vertical. Now, and honestly, like, I personally would have liked him be more square. I would have liked him bow out a little bit more. I would have liked his hands maybe to be just more crisp. But the dumb shit, this is actually a really good block by Denzel Good. Like this is actually categorically where he needs to be. Now, I think he conceded too much ground inside and he turned his shoulders too much. But when the defensive end was like trying to like engage and pass rush, he couldn't. Like none of his moves worked. He couldn't get him. He couldn't move him back, and he maintained inside leverage the entire block. So that was really a pretty damn good block by the right tackle. Now, like I said, there are certain aspects of this he really can improve, but overall pretty solid. So looking at the right guard. Does the hand to God, make sure the A gap is kind of contained, I guess. He loops his hands. He never shoots his hands inside, but he does maintain leverage. He gives up a little bit more ground than I would like. That is a little too dangerous close. I personally think that if he's going to, like I said, he should have slid more flat than he did vertical. And I think that's just him trying to extend and trying to maintain power, but he did maintain inside leverage, and he also had help from the center, so that worked out. And even with the center, just trying to be employed. I always thought the center worked toward the closer technique, but I guess the Raiders blocking scheme works a little different than that. Um, yeah, I mean it works out. Left guard. So this is actually a pretty solid pass block by Rich Incognito. His hands maintain inside. The guy is rushing to his inside, so all he's really trying to do is just maintain inside push, and that's it. He's just trying to keep from getting pushed backwards, because the rule is you concede outside, you don't give up anything inside. Now, I think he conceded too much outside on the right guard, but he didn't concede much of anything on the inside, and that worked out great for him. Um, Definitely grabbing the hell out of this dude, but again, like that's actually what you should do if you're grabbing the inside of his pads, inside the frame of his body. Left tackle. What the dude? Like he kicks out. So this is really no. This is probably where Denzel Good should have been on this pass set. This is about as far upfield. Same thing with the right guard. This is about as far upfield as you concede. You don't concede vertical. You concede more lateral. All right. Now he does start opening up the gate. He does start turning, and he did get his hand beat inside. Beat that. He really didn't. He didn't really beat that. Um, You're leaning a little too far forward. If he decided to be a real hero, he could actually kind of push pull you, but he would have to really know what he's doing. Um, he doesn't. He tries to like work his right arm under his extended arm. I don't think that would have been. If you're gonna do that, you need to be an asshole about it. You need to like fucking armbar that shit or throw. You basically punch him. Like you have to actually be a dickhead when you're fighting hands and doing hand fighting. Like you can't be nice about it because you end up in a position where you walk back damn near in the quarterback's lap. And it's not that quarterback has no poise. It's just you don't. If you can keep his feet clean, I mean, this dude can throw a good spiral. He can throw a good ball, but you got to give him a chance. Like let him fuck that up. Don't be the reason he's fucking that up. All right. Running back kind of went out for a dummy route and nice throw and catch.